Hi there. Welcome to MiWeek. I'm Christy McDonald. We're back from up north. We're ready to tackle the biggest stories that you're talking about. From the former FBI head's testimony to budget wrangling in Lansing to infrastructure spending here and across the U.S. Plus, we have a special One Detroit report on immigration. So let's get started with our contributors. You know him, Dylan Finley from the Detroit News, Stephen Henderson from the Detroit Free Press. Hey, guys. How are you? So when people aren't watching us tonight on Thursday night, they're going to be watching back the testimony of James Comey in Washington. I'm going to start with you, Stephen, on this one, the significance of him sitting down. And you've read some of the prepared statement that he had and some of the conversations that he says he had with President Trump, and the number of them, which is what really kind of got me too.
Yeah, and on the way here today, I was listening in the car as that testimony was getting underway. He was expanding on some of the things he said in the written statement, but I mean, as you point out, the written statement really speaks for itself. I mean, this is a president who sat down with the director of the FBI and asked him to stop an open investigation, and did it in a number of instances, in very overt ways, in very inappropriate ways that other people saw and didn't intervene in themselves. I don't think there's a lot of question about what happened. The question now is, what should the consequences be?
What was the most troubling aspect of that, Nolan?
Let's go back. I mean, what Comey said in the written testimony, at least, and the oral testimonies going on before we go on the air, he said he asked them if he could back off the investigation of Michael Flynn's phone call to Russia, not the entire investigation. And Comey was pretty clear. It matters because Comey was pretty clear that he didn't try to pull him off the Russian investigation.
But that also came on the heels of asking for a loyalty oath.
Yeah, he asked. Well, he didn't ask for a loyalty.
Well, not an oath, but pledge loyalty.
That's a real stretch. He didn't even use that word. He said, "I expect loyalty. Can you be loyal?" Which was inappropriate, of course. But you didn't ask for a loyalty oath or pledge. I don't know.
Nolan, I want your loyalty. I want you to pledge this on MiWeek, right?
Person, but I don't think there's a. I mean, I read one law professor described it as being boorish and clueless isn't necessarily a crime. I don't know there's a smoking gun yet.
Well, I think that's the fine line of seeing if it is boorish and clueless, or when you empty a room, including the boss of the FBI director, then you think, well, you know that you want a private conversation.
It's inappropriate, but I don't know
circumstances here.
And I think that's the question.
Circumstances here really matter. Jeff Toobin, who's covered the law for 30 years in Washington, writes for the New Yorker, said on Twitter, look, this is obstruction. This is a classic obstruction. It's not just because of the testimony that James Comey is offering. It's also the context. So if you look at what the president was saying on Twitter, saying to Russian officials in the White House, in the Oval Office, after he did it, I got rid of this nut job who was after this Russia investigation. His own words in sort of surrounding what Comey says happened between the two of them are what are probably going to do him in.
Okay, that's going to play out. Two things I want to get to real quick. We have such a short time today. Talking about what's going on in Lansing. Usually the budget is done by the end of June. School districts around the state are saying, please, can you finish this up so we can set our budget starting on July 1st? What's the latest on the pension battle?
It's the first time we've gone this far, I think, without a budget at least in shape for approval. This one's a long way from being in shape for approval. They're fighting over pension reform now. I think everybody agrees you've got to have some answer to pensions. The governor doesn't want to go where the Senate wants to go, and so they're in a standoff. I don't know how this is going to work out. I suspect they'll pass a budget, boot it to the fall, and say we're going to come up with a more comprehensive fix.
Yeah, 10-second last word.
I think that's what they'll do. It's unfortunate that we're having this argument. You know, the governor did make some real fixes to this 4 years ago, 5 years ago. We're in a better shape, but the ideologues in the Senate are doing something else.
All right, we're going to have to leave it there. We have